Sokoi Vodean. I'm a simple ADK of Star Wars with an assumption about what will happen now that the last episode of The Mandalorian Season 2 aired. Fair warning that I will also talk a bit about what happened in the second season, so if you didn't watch it yet, then get the hell out of here. You don't want anyone spoiling this for you, trust me on that one. Anyway, I'll start right off the bat with my conclusion. I think we will get something along the lines of the Heir to the Empire trilogy by Timothy Zahn through the next upcoming Star Wars shows on Disney+. Now, my reason for believing this is the layout we got in the second season of The Mandalorian actually. If you are familiar with the original Thrawn trilogy, then you might already know a bit of what I'm going to talk about. Though if you don't know what the original Thrawn trilogy is, then I'll give you a short, spoiler-free rundown of it. The first Thrawn book trilogy by Timothy Zahn came out in the 90s, meaning before the prequels, aka episode 1, 2 and 3. The story takes place roughly 5 years after Return of the Jedi and revolves around old characters like Luke, Han, Leia, Lando, Mon Mothma, but also newer characters like the Smuggler, Talon Karth, the Dark Jedi, Shuru Sabayoth, Mara Jade, who is Karth's second in command, Captain Pelion of the Imperial Remnant, and also Grand Admiral Thrawn. In those books, our well-beloved band of rebel heroes attempt to stop the Thrawn campaign against the newly formed New Republic. The Thrawn campaign was a genius plan created by Thrawn, with which he crumbled the New Republic, by using many different tactics. Those tactics proved to be actually quite effective against the New Republic, resulting in Thrawn becoming the greatest threat as of this time in the Star Wars Legend timeline. I'll leave it at that if you wish to read the books for yourself, and honestly I highly recommend it since it's one of the best Star Wars stories I ever read/listened to. Now, I think the future storyline of The Mandalorian Season 3, the Book of Boba Fett and the Ahsoka show will play out somewhat similar like in the original Thrawn trilogy, since both canon and legend are currently in the same timeline in that regard. I imagine something like this will happen. We know that Ahsoka is searching for Thrawn. Through a subordinate of him, in the Ahsoka episode in Season 2 we learn that Thrawn is currently operating in the known galaxy and that he is not stuck anymore in the unknown regions. I believe he is currently preparing the remnant of the Empire to launch a massive campaign like he did in the Heir to the Empire trilogy, aka the first Thrawn trilogy. And with this campaign he aims to re-establish an authorial military government in order to unite the galaxy against a common threat, being embodied by an alien species known as the Gwisk. The Gwisk are, according to Thrawn in his second book trilogy during his time with the Empire, a major threat to his fellow Chiss people as well as the Empire. His reason herefore is how the Gwisk dominate other species by turning them into very obedient slaves. They indoctrinate their victims to the point where they don't have to be present in order to ensure the obedience of the slaves. In fact, their slaves are so loyal to them that they would willingly sacrifice themselves as well as others of their species if it means to please their Gwisk masters. Luckily, this threat is located on the edges of the unknown regions, and as such, the Gwisk are no immediate threat to the galaxy at large. However, in the book Thrawn's Treason, we learned that the Gwisk have attempted to infiltrate Imperial space to set up bases in order to observe and slowly start to indoctrinate the Imperial population. Thrawn was able to deal with them, though he knows that the Gwisk must be stopped at all costs for good in order to ensure the safety of the galaxy at large. Thrawn most likely told Ezra Bridger about this and was able to convince him to join forces against the Gwisk. With his help and that of the flying whale species we saw in the season finality for Rebels Season 4, he managed to travel safely through the hyperspace of the unknown regions and into Chiss space. There, Thrawn and Ezra most likely spent the entire time during the original trilogy in order to solve the Chiss Civil War, which we got hints at in the Thrawn Treason book, and prepared the Chiss Ascendancy and some other parts of the unknown regions against the Gwisk. Imagine something like the Empire of the Hand in Legend content, and if you know what I'm talking about, then you probably will have an easier time to grasp what I'm talking about right now. After this endeavor, both Thrawn and Ezra travel back into the known galaxy to make their also preparations. Due to the defeat of the Empire, however, Thrawn views the New Republic as an ideal target for the Gwisk. If they manage to grab hold of the entire New Republic, or even half of the New Republic, then the chances of victory against them would be drastically slim. Plus, the lack of a strong and effective Republic military is an additional no-go to Thrawn. As such, Thrawn would travel to the remnants of the Empire and take control over everything due to his rank of Grand Admiral, which most likely outranks everyone else, where he then plans his campaign against the New Republic. Ahsoka will eventually track him down, since she wants to know what happened to Ezra, and he is the only one who can tell her this. When she meets up with Thrawn, she will also reunite with Ezra, and the two of them will tell Ahsoka what they are planning to do. She would agree on the threat that the Gwisk pose. However, the re-establishment of the Empire is an absolute no-go to her. She will plead with Ezra to leave together, though he will decline her request. She escapes and tries to warn the New Republic about this new threat to them. Though this won't help the New Republic much, since Thrawn is too great of a tactician, and it will pretty much end a scenario where Thrawn will corner the New Republic. I think the Mandalorians will then start to play a huge part in this war between the New Republic and Thrawn. Since the Empire exiled them from their home planet of Mandalore, extracted all of its resources, and killed many Mandalorians during the Night of 1,000 Years, they would definitely want to engage them in a war. Under the leadership of the new Mandalore, the leader of all Mandalorians, which could either be Din, Bo-Katan or Boba, they form an alliance with the New Republic and fight together against Thrawn's forces. Yes, I believe that all three of them could make a claim to the role of Mandalore. But I won't go further into it, since this topic could be substance for a whole other video, and it would basically make this video at least 20 minutes long. The military forces of the New Republic, which consist of the Rebel military and their latest addition in form of battle droids, as seen in The Mandalorian, and also their biggest ally, Luke Skywalker, plus Mandalorian forces would fight a very tough war against Thrawn, though not an unwinnable one. However, their only chance of winning is either to capture or neutralize Thrawn forever. But they would only be able to do so by a completely unexpected event which not even Thrawn could predict, which is, in fact, his only weak point. For example, Luke could potentially get another hallway scene on the Chimera, the flagship of Thrawn, like in the Season 2 finality of The Mandalorian, but I doubt that Luke would make it that close to Thrawn. That's a testimony to his strategic and intellectual mind, actually. He would never allow Luke to get so close to him. But this is where Boba Fett, the potential new boss of the entire underworld, comes into the picture. He will unite the underworld scum and villainy under his command and launch a secret assault on Thrawn's capital ship, where he either captures or kills Thrawn. In this scenario, either option could be a possibility, and this would be up to debate what would most likely play out. But with the loss of Thrawn in either way, the remnant of the Empire will be pushed back into the Outer Rim and abort the Thrawn campaign entirely, which as a result saves the New Republic. After this event, the New Republic and the galaxy will experience a short period of peace, before the threat in the form of the Gwisk will make their way into the known galaxy. What then happens is pretty much up to debate, and I won't go into any more speculations at this point, because otherwise I would probably tell a story worthy of the 20-year gap between the original and the sequel trilogy. So, what do you guys think? Am I talking a lot of Banfa Poodoo, or is anyone else seeing this kind of event possibly taking place? Please let me know down in the comments. I'm really curious to see the opinion of others, and with that, Reto Jamais.